Welcome back to the Front Page Saturday Town Hall Edition. You can call us now, 520-KJLH, 520-5554. Something to share with you. Joy Community Outreach is doing their back-to-school radio free give and take. They're giving away school supplies and hygiene items. It's going to be a drive-through because of the pandemic. It will be Tuesday, August 25th from 10 to noon at the Triangular Church. You want to call ahead, though, and make sure that they're ready for you. 323-939-5808. 323-939-5808. It's at the Triangular Church, which is Western and Washington. Everyone has to wear a mask. Thank you, Dr. Mabel John, for remembering the kids. All right, so turning now to some parents and their thoughts and also your phone calls. Welcoming now to the show Aurea Montes-Rodriguez. She is Executive Vice President at Community Coalition. She oversees the strategic direction of Community Coalition's education reform campaigns that are looking to create a more equitable society and dismantle the school-to-prison pipeline. Good morning, Aurea. Aurea, can you hear me? Okay, I guess she can't hear me yet. Also joining us, we have a parent who's a social worker, and she is involved in organizing her community. She's been doing that for over 20 years. Charline Nunez, welcome. All right. I guess nobody can hear me. Hello? Charline Nunez, can you hear me? Aurea Montes-Rodriguez, can you hear me? Okay, maybe not. So, Aurea, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear. Good morning.
Good morning, Dominique. So great to be on the show. Thank you for having us.
Thanks for being here. I know, you led the efforts in the case of Community Coalition versus LAUSD, which was part of adopting the Student Equity Index, which these issues are not new to you, and particularly in standing for the kids. What are you hearing from students, and what are your concerns heading into the new school year?
Well, Dominique, I love how you were talking earlier about all hands on deck, because one of the themes during our equity fight for the Student Equity Needs Index was that we needed all hands on deck to really deal with the decades of disinvestment and inequities that our students were experiencing. And as we get ready to start the year, and we have spent the summer working with about 100 students and parents to deal with the loss of learning that they experienced after March. And what we really, really want to emphasize is that students and parents are ready to be re-engaged in their learning, that parents were deeply involved, their administrators, the teachers, and the district leadership on what virtual learning should look like, so that it really, centers the needs of the students. Some of the things that students and parents are asking for is smaller class sizes because they are, relying on virtual learning, more personalized instruction so that the teachers can assess for students who need additional support, whether it's on the academics or on the social emotional or the technology, and that there be meaningful engagement between the teachers and administrators and the parents in what supports their children might need during this period. The other piece that, teachers and students are asking for is that they deal with the digital divide head on. And so you were talking earlier about, the inadequate access to connectivity, whether we had families who were sharing internet connection. We were able to get both hardware and hotspots to families, but in some households we had to get 3 to 4 hotspots so that each child could have their own hotspot, because one or two were not enough for them to be able to connect.
Yeah,
and
especially with multiple kids. Yeah, multiple kids in the. Got a lot of phone calls. I want to get to the phones. Oh, go ahead and finish your point. No.
Last piece is around training and coaching. Children and parents didn't know how to use the technology. And so it's not just about doing webinars, but of actually individualizing the coaching and the troubleshooting that both students and parents need.
Absolutely, because to do a webinar, you have to know how to get onto a webinar. Charline Nunez, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so what are your thoughts going into the school year? You know, you're a parent, you got a couple kids in LAUSD yourself, and you're an organizer. What do you think needs to be done to make this a success, or as close to success as we can get?
I definitely district has to think outside of the box and be unconventional and intentional with what they're doing for kids these days. So most of the time, everything that happens within bureaucracies, they want that there to be studies and evaluations before things are implemented in the schools. But right now, we need the whole community to come together. That's our nonprofits, our schools, our churches, law enforcement, to try to work together to support kids, because they're not going to have the social emotional portion already, but with this digital divide and so many parents not being able, as essential workers, and not being able to be present for their children, there has to be something that's outside of the box to ensure that every child has some kind of representation in the school, and that someone is interacting with administrators on their behalf for those who aren't able to do it for themselves.
Okay, thank you for that. Let's go to Portia calling us from LA. Good morning, Portia.
Hi, good morning. I'm calling because I'm hearing a lot of negative feedback, but there are parents like myself that are willing to change, adapt to change well, and I have a daughter who she goes to summer camp online. Usually they go there for a few weeks throughout the summer. It's through the Jewish Big Brother Foundation, and they have changed it, and it works. But I just feel like there's a lot of parents that are willing to, just go with the flow, make the adjustments. And there are kids that are willing to do the same. I don't think everybody is upset about it as, it's being made to seem. And I think that, we can all come together and get through this together. But I think sometimes positivity is a good thing, too. You know what I mean? So
it's always a good thing. Thank you for reminding us of that, Portia. I mean, that is part of it. We've got to adapt. We've got to adjust. And your point is well taken. Let's go to Michelle calling us from LA. Good morning, Michelle.
Good morning, Dominique. How are you?
Good.
Portia's comments really resonate with me. So I have two kids in LA Unified, and I've been teaching in LA Unified for over 30 years. And I just want to say, I think right now some of the loudest voices calling for reopening and pushing are not the voices of the people who have been struggling, and they're not the voices of people who, families who want to weigh the safety, like Portia said, and they're doing okay. They're modifying their schedules, and they're working within this new reality while we're in a pandemic. And I think it's important that we listen to those voices. The thing that's really showing up is how the inequities in our schools are exacerbated during this pandemic. I'm lucky. My school is one with a Verizon grant. So every single one of our students not only had an iPad, but it had connectivity. So we didn't have to worry about Wi-Fi or hotspots. And we had been working with the devices for the year. So we had built relationships, we had built procedures, and while it was still really challenging, it was nothing compared to what a lot of these other schools are. And I think it's so important that we deal with these inequities among our schools now so that every student has the connectivity. For us, some of the iPads that went home, that was the device that the entire family was using. And it's a huge problem when they're trying to look for support and find resources, and then have a couple kids who are also trying to do their schoolwork. So I also I want to push that it isn't a normal. We're in a pandemic, and we have families who are hurting. Yeah.
Yeah, appreciate the perspective. Aurea, do you want to comment on that? Aurea Montes-Rodriguez?
Well, I absolutely agree. I think we need to deal with the inequities. There were about 50,000 Black and Brown students who didn't connect to their schools in the spring. We have to have a plan to make sure that all of those households have technology, that those students have the support, that both parents, families, and the teachers can really motivate and help the students understand why they should participate and offer them the support so that they can succeed in the new school year. That's really going to determine how the students do, in the academic
Right. So
year.
I'm hearing from the school district that they have given almost everybody, computers. And, and so if that's not the case, does that mean that they don't know, or that maybe there's not enough computers being given out if there's more than one kid in the household? What are we talking about here, and how do we fix it?
Well, the district has started by giving technology to high school students and middle school students and elementary school students, and they gave out technology that they already had in hand. And so the quality of the technology in some cases was really outdated, not working. Some of the schools took the technology back, definitely felt like, Wild West. And so there needs to be some structure to ensure that all children have their own device and that all children can connect, so that children are not competing in households or having to decide who's going to learn on any given day. And so those are issues of equity that the district, the local district administrators, and the principals really have to address at the beginning of the year.
Let's go to Lisa Washington, retired teacher, calling us. Hi, Lisa.
Hi, Lisa. Thank you, Dominique.
Go ahead. You're on the radio.
Okay, I just wanted to say that there needs to also be an emphasis on taking a look at emotional, social, and educational needs of children that have been involved in sexual abuse and physical abuse. I understand it's on a tremendous rise, and it's very difficult for investigators or advocates to be able to report or to bring light to a situation because of the COVID.
Right. So any ideas about how to do that? I mean, I know it's a big question and we just have a little time, but I'd love to hear your thought.
Where I live is like in a little complex, condominium complex. And what we've done is how they've set up some student pods for student learning. We're setting up these parent pods. So we kind of gather together in a little open area near our homes, and we use safety precautions, the PPE and all of that. And we talk and we openly discuss what's going on in our little complex. And I believe that something like this, to be open and honest and being able to share with one another about what you're doing with your children and allowing the children to safely play, and you watch them and discuss such issues, that it'll help open the door to recognizing and doing something about this
great
another pandemic. That's right.
Love that, Lisa Washington. Love that idea. Charline Nunez, you want to comment on that? She's talking about, keeping kids safe, keeping them away from abuse since the reporting may not be there, and also creating parent networks so that we know what's going on among ourselves. Do you have any thoughts or initiatives on that?
Most definitely. I think it's definitely important. Within COCO recently, during Freedom Schools, we were able to have our parents have weekly meetings for us to definitely talk and support us as we support our children through the program and through this uncertain time. So I think it's definitely important for parents to speak out their support during this time, because it's going to be difficult for them to be able to be dealing with the kids, acting as teachers, and as well as navigating these systems that we don't even, most parents from most schools in my community, we don't even have any information yet.
Right. So, Charline Nunez, where would we turn? I mean, do you have any ideas? You know, I hear about people doing parent pods and these organizing units like Lisa Washington was just talking about. Is there a place that we can try to find other parents that are interested and connect, or is this something we just create on our own?
Well, you definitely can go to your traditional networks, such as your churches and your close friends, your sororities, your fraternities. But and this time, not everyone has, has that social network. So, and those are the parents that I'm speaking to when I say that those surrogate parents or parent mentors were those parents who kind of isolate themselves and don't want to be involved because they're not used to engaging with people. So I think there has to be some kind of outreach as well on behalf of the school district to try to network with parents as well.
Yeah, that'd be great. And create templates and easy ways for folks to find each other. Let's go to Yvette calling from Inglewood. Good morning, Yvette.
Hello, good morning, Dominique. Good morning, everyone. I was just calling. There were a lot of wonderful comments already made. But I was actually calling specifically because we're focusing, I know this conversation is focusing on schools, but the school is just sort of the subset to me of just like work of the family and then the family of the community, because if we're not addressing it, I think I really liked Lisa's comments about these parent pods and networks. If we're not focusing on addressing some of the issues of the family, we can't focus on the issues of the child in that family, in that home. And I heard a lot of things about getting these hot spots and addressing, helping people in the house get access, but they need the actual internet access. And so I think it would be wonderful to have a place that even is just sort of a resource that parents or families can call in for. Number one, I know there's a place called everyoneon.com, I think, where they connect families to low-cost internet services and low-cost computers. That's just one step to helping get that connectivity actually in the house, because if you have a computer and no connectivity, you still have nothing. But the emotional and that social economic support, I think, for the family, those services, those mental health services for the parents, connecting to jobs. I think job lists would be very helpful. I think resources are what families definitely need, and especially as we sit at home and try to deal with the parents' emotional stability.
Yeah, that part. So that and that's a great point. There was an article in the Atlantic saying, forget about hotspots, and what we need is a universal basic income, so the parents can stay at home and help their kids, or at least one parent could stay at home and help their kids. So you're talking about a more big picture of household and community wellness that's going to be foundational, because we can't. It's not just kids out there on their own. If you don't deal with families, you're not really dealing with anything.
Absolutely.
Well said. Appreciate that. What are your thoughts on that, Aurea? I know, that's kind of what Community Coalition does. And by the way, if you guys want to think about an organization to act as a hub for your activism, you might consider Community Coalition. But what are your thoughts on how we build out that structure for family community, so it's not just kids on their own floating along in hot spots?
Thank you for that, Dominique. We are working with partners through the Equity Alliance for LA's Kids, through the United Way Class Coalition, through the Brothers on Self Coalition, to push our policymakers at the state level to look at universal access to connectivity, the way that we had with universal access to phone lines, right? And so we are doing that work. I also know that you had a guest from the partnership a few weeks ago speak, and they have built out a parent college that really has rich curriculum around how parents can support their children and also engage the district, right, to do well. And then Community Coalition, Charline Nunez is one of the parent leaders at Community Coalition that has done an incredible job engaging the district and engaging local administrators in this district around equity issues. But we also have been running healing circles, right, where parents can come together weekly to talk about issues that they're experiencing and find ways to offer peer support to each other. So, our communities don't always have access to pods the way that the more affluent communities are structuring, hiring their own teachers for their children. But the self-help model and the empowerment model is something that we really believe is critical to the success of our community. And so we would love to have any parents that are, listening in, follow up with us and get involved in the parent organizing at Community Coalition and participate in the weekly healing circles that we have.
Happens to be one of the only phone numbers I actually know without my phone. 323-750-9087. Is that right?
That's correct. Thank you, Dominique.
Lord, you can tell I was on that board for a minute. 323-750-9087. Lots of resources there. I love, the idea of people connecting with the Partnership for LA Schools and trying to find out what resources are available through the Parent College. Love the idea of people joining together and using the Community Coalition, which has always been a hub for activism in South LA, to get through this period of time by creating whatever kind of structures work for them. The healing circles, if people wanted to do that, they would just call you guys if they wanted to be involved with something like that.
That's correct, yes. We would welcome all parents to get involved. We want to see children succeed. We know that we have the tools and that the healing circles can really be a way for parents to feel supported.
Yeah, and we always share resources whenever we get together as parents. Charline Nunez, Aurea just said that you're really good at navigating the bureaucracy, and I think that's part of the scary thing about online or distance learning. You just can't go down to the school and try to find someone to talk to. You got to figure out how to find what you need, whether it's the tutoring or any kind of special classes or needs that your child has. You got to navigate that website and to really have meaningful engagement or feedback between parents and schools. How have you found success doing that?
My experience has actually been positive with communicating with the schools. My son actually had his orientation a few days ago, and my daughter, she has been involved and connected with her teachers due to her having honors and AP classes. But based on the conversations that I've had with the parents in our parent organizing at COCO, they haven't had that same experience. They haven't received any information as to how to get registration, how to do registration, how to get their textbooks, how to get their new technology for this upcoming semester. And the semester is just a week away. So that's scary.
Right. So you found success. What did you do so we can try to copy what you did?
I've just been it's been a passion for me to make sure that it's my responsibility to take care and be involved in my kids' school. I've always been an engaged parent since they were in preschool. So it's been that me being present at the school site, me having open communication with the counselors, administrators, as well as the teachers, and ensuring that I'm involved and to support them in any way that I can.
Persistence and dedication, that always works. Well, Charline Nunez, I want to thank you so much for being with us. And Aurea Montes-Rodriguez, I want to thank you as well. Just really quickly, Aurea, what would you leave us with this morning?
That in this very difficult period, it's very important for all of us to continue to motivate and remind our children that they are brilliant and that they have to stay engaged in their learning, that they have to be at the driver's seat, and we have to support them in their learning and in advocating for them when they need that support from us.
Great. Thank you so much. We are passing the mic to Guy Black. He's got great music for you coming up next. You can find all of these resources up at KJLHradio.com, where we continue to update them on the community calendar. Family, thank you so much for being with us today. And please remember, we do this every Saturday morning, 8 to 10, right here. Until next time, Radio Free Family, God bless. One love.